Hey guys, Brandon with ICT Billet. Today we're going to talk about our CD009 and JK transmission adapter that we're releasing here shortly. We're going to do a walkthrough, cut the bell housing on this unit, mount it up, kind of show you how it all goes together. There are some other companies on the market that offer a similar type adapter. Ours is quite a bit different. You may, if you have experience with theirs, try one of ours out, and you may decide you like what you see. But we'll just begin working on this transmission and show you how it all goes together. We'll also offer instructions online, so you'll be able to print those out and do a run through that way if you prefer that method. But we'll just cut to the point and get to work.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the CD009 to LS transmission adapter video.
The voiceover edition, brought to you by Brandon and his propensity to listen to music while he works on cars.
So, as you can see, we've got the black Sharpie out, and what we're doing is we're marking everything up to be cut. It's very important you mark everything up to be cut, because you don't want to cut something you don't want to cut. As you can see, we've marked that second rib in there all the way around. We're going to be cutting directly on top of that. And you'll notice we've also marked a couple of tabs on the side of the transmission. Those are mounts for, I believe, the O2 sensors. We're not going to be using those. So we're going to hack those off. Something else we've done, we've actually blocked off any and all orifices that lead to the inside of the transmission in an effort to avoid debris getting inside, because that will trash your transmission. One of the things to note, watch your depth. You don't want to cut through and cut some of the integral parts of that transmission. So you're just going to have to watch what you're cutting, when you're cutting it, and how you're cutting it.
And here's Brandon coming around turn one. Extremely steady hands. You can notice he's barely slipping up. He's right on top of that rib there. Looking fantastic. All right, let's switch it up and cut those tabs off.
Now, one thing to note, keep that wheel extra straight. Don't bend it, because if you do, it just might...
Oh, and looky there, it exploded, folks. We're going to have to go to Ted for an instant replay on that one. That was incredible. All right, let's back her up to the moment. Now, looky here, folks. He's got it straight as can be. This is no fault of Brandon's. That's just an old disc, I believe. Looky there. See it shattering? There's pieces everywhere. It's a good thing he was wearing his safety glasses. And folks, this is why PPE is very important. You might giggle a little bit at the first two letters of the abbreviation, but nobody's going to be laughing in that hospital room should you forget to wear it.
Ribs. Juicy, succulent ribs. Now you're going to have to cut through these without cutting into the part of the transmission that houses the transmission fluid. And what Brandon's showing you here is how it's much easier to cut from this particular angle on this particular side of the transmission, so you're not fighting the bell housing with your cutting tool. So upon hacking that last tab off, we did notice that we forgot to remove the slave cylinder. Now, the slave cylinder does have lines that lead to a distribution block that mounts to the outside of that bell housing there. And had we hacked all the way through that bell housing, let it fall, we would have bent those lines, destroying a brand new slave cylinder. So what we're going to do is take out every single bolt that mounts that to the transmission, remove it, and simply set it to the side. Alright folks, Brandon's tagged in Lucy for this second heat, and she's coming around turn two like a bat out of Hades. Check her out, she's a professional, folks. Then we'll swing around and look at the backside, check out the depth, and looky here, she is razor sharp. Check that out. No hocus pocus, just laser-like focus. And in the spirit of teamwork, she's tagged Brandon back in to finish the rest of the job. Now, something you'll notice, a little bit of seasoning in this video. You see the salt and pepper popping in every once in a while? That's Brandon checking the depths of his cuts. You want to do this often while you're cutting. Because if that blade goes just a little bit too deep, then I hope you got a buddy who can weld aluminum, because JB ain't gonna cut it. Cut it. Like you cut it, you know, because you weren't paying attention. Alright, I'm sure you get the gist of the cutting process, so we'll fast forward it a little bit. Okay, we'll slow it down just a little bit for that final cut before we remove that bell housing. And ding dong. Bell housing removed. This is what the transmission should look like. You'll clean up your cuts just a little bit to kind of smooth it out. I don't know, depends on who you are as a human being. If you are a stickler, you'll spend a while smoothing all that out. If you're not, well, then you'll just send it as is. Brandon here, I think it's safe to say he's fair to Midland. So he'll spend a little time cleaning up the edges here, just kind of tightening it up. But then he's got to get down to business and put it all back together, toss it in the car, and have some fun.
Alright, now that that's taken care of, you gotta clean your shaft off so you don't get any debris inside of the transmission, and you can tell by his technique he's done this before. Take a peek at that sheen, Charlie. She is shined up and ready for business.
Speaking of business, let's get back to it. What you're going to want to do next is grab a ratchet and a 12mm socket, and you're going to remove each and every one of these bolts you see holding this main shaft bearing cover on. One of the things I would recommend is propping that transmission up. As you can see, he's got a little block here that he's using to prop it up. What that's going to do is keep all of the fluids inside of the transmission and not all over your table. And we'll give it a little zip, zip, zippity doo dah day with the impact here and remove that front cover. And once you got that cover off, it's a great time to take a gander at the guts. Make sure that bearing's in good shape. This one is in great shape because it's a brand new transmission, but that might not be the case for you. So give it a once over, make sure that you don't have to dive into this transmission a little deeper than you wanted to, and move on. Now we do offer a Gen 1 and Gen 2 adapter plate, and what we're going to do right now is measure the bearing relief width to ensure that our transmission matches our adapter plate. Now this is just a precautionary measure we take prior to bolting this thing down, just in case we may have misjudged what transmission we have and ordered the wrong plate. If you do find yourself in a bind, unsure about what transmission you have and what plate you need to order, you can always give us a call and we can guide you through that process. We're not done yet. This is just a test fit. We've got a little bit more cutting to do, and it's on the back side of the transmission here. What we're going to do is notch the remainder of that bell housing in two places so that we can access those bolts for installation as well as any maintenance in the future. Once you have those two locations marked, it's very important that you reinstall that main shaft bearing cover to again avoid getting debris inside of that transmission.
Oh, watch out, folks, he's armed. Which is actually shocking considering the way he was holding that cutting wheel. Oh, looky there, he eyes it, he tries it, and he buys it, folks. This is not a drill. Or, wait. Now, this is not a drill. Back to the cutting wheel. As you can see, he's notching that lower bolt with the cutting wheel and just kind of cleaning up the edges of that prior cut with the hole saw. And after any dirty job, it's always important to clean your hands up. We've all done it, folks. Nobody wants to live forever. All right, now that we're all cleaned up, it's time to bond those surfaces. Now, when I think of bonding two surfaces, I think of Permatex's Ultra Gray RTV. Well, I don't know how you feel about monogamy, Ted, but if you want to be bonded for life, get Permatex. Permatex. I'm stuck on you. Alright, installation tip number 7011, those bottom four bolts. They could use a little RTV, and no shock here, I recommend Permatex Ultra Gray. Dip 4 bolts in that, install those, torque them down, and you'll be sure to not have any leaks in the future.
Alright, give that mating surface a good rub down, and it's time for the happy ending. Go ahead and affix that adapter plate, break out the hardware that came with it, run those down. Now be sure to follow your factory torque specs and torque order, and voila! You've got yourself an installed adapter plate and you're ready for the bell housing.
Alright, let's tiptoe on over to the other side of the shop where we've got our brand new LS1, LS2, T56 bell housing. Ring a ding dong, look at that.
And all you got to do next is line that thing up with the appropriate holes on the adapter plate, install the hardware, torque it down, and you're ready to install the slave cylinder. Now, obviously, we won't be using the slave cylinder that came off of this transmission. We have here a LS1, LS2, T56 hydraulic slave cylinder. Pretty simple install, 2 bolts. You don't really need to see how to do it. Unless you do, then I apologize because I did not get that on camera. Brandon was too fast. As you can see, we've got a couple upgraded steel braided lines, and that thing's ready to go in the card.
And here's just a quick look at a couple of things you're going to receive with our kit. That pilot bearing adapter there, and that 6-puck sprung disc appropriate to the application will both be included along with that adapter plate.
Hey guys, Brandon with ICT Billet. We've already gone over the installation of our CD adapter, but as you can see here, we have a completed unit where we've already cut the bell housing off. We have trimmed everything as we need to. We've installed a GK Tech shifter. We have our adapter installed, our bell housing installed. We have our clutch disc and pilot bearing that are going to be sold with the kit. So for a limited time, we are going to offer a complete transmission, just like you see here, with the GK Tech shifter, our adapter already installed, F-body bell housing, ACT 6-puck disc, and the pilot bearing. So all you'll have to do is pick your F-body flywheel and pressure plate, and your F-body throwout bearing, and send it. We're even going to give you a 1310 yoke for the transmission when you purchase it. So it'll be good for a 1310 joint. That way it'll clear the shifter mechanism, so you won't have any interference there, and you can get your drive shaft cut to length and take care of business. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll have some more installation videos. We're going to actually pull the transmission out of our Z, that's also a CD transmission, and swap it out with this one. And we're going to build up some new units to sell to you guys. So keep your eyes on the website. We're going to have the adapter kit with pilot bearing and disc available within the next month. So we'll talk to you guys later.
Cut! Yep, it worked.
Did it?
Yep.
Is it picking it up on that mic or this mic?
That one. That one's the soul mic.
Oh, the soul mic.
Yeah. So have a little soul when you're speaking.
This is what you do while I'm here. I'm curious what you do while I'm not here.
Oh.
It's the exact same thing, we're just naked.